Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons, and we're going to talk about Warforged, and we're going to talk about made adventures and born adventures, and we're going to talk about the importance of making the right choice about prejudice between born and made beings. All right, let's get into it. All right, so the reason we're talking about this is I just got my lunch at Wawa, right? Now, if you don't know, now you know. Wawa is like the shiznizzle. It is the best, it truly is the best convenience store ever made. We're really lucky to have them here on the northern east coast of America, and they're incredible. They're really, really good. They have an amazing deli. If you go into a 7-Eleven, and then you go into a Wawa, it's like the difference between visiting a person who lives in a cardboard box and visiting the Queen of England, right? Like, it's just such a different experience. Like, they just do everything at this incredible level. So I normally don't get my lunch at Wawa, but I got my lunch at Wawa today. And the reason why was the time when I went, there was like a huge line at the place I usually go through drive-through. So I went to Wawa, and I walked in, and I put in my order for a meatball sandwich at the plinth. I grabbed myself some white chocolate Reese's, and I got a 24-ounce coffee that I made myself, right? So then I get all this, and I go up, right, and I have a choice. There are two store clerks there. There is a born store clerk, and there is a made store clerk. The born store clerk is a very nice lady with brunette hair who had a smile on her face and had just greeted the latest customer that came in front of her. The made store clerk was a purpose-designed plinth at a purpose-designed station where I would check myself out with the aid of the made store clerk. Right, so I went up, scan, hit the button, and then take my payment card, and literally I didn't even have to put it in. I just touched it to the window. It took 30 seconds, right? That same 30 seconds would have happened like, hey, good day. Hi, how are you? Right, and I realized the made store clerk was so much better than the born store clerk, and I was shocked. I was like, this made store clerk has effortlessly replaced the born store clerk, right? This is the Warforged of Wawa, right? And I was like, and this is like an extremely important event that is happening right now in Dungeons and Dragons, and Hasbro and Paizo both had to make their decision on prejudice toward made artists or born artists, right? And Hasbro was like, we're good. Like, we do not need to ban made artists from making art for Dungeons and Dragons. If a made artist wants to make art for Dungeons and Dragons, that can happen, right? Paizo was like, if you have not breached the womb of a mother, you shall not make content for our game. You shall not write, you shall not lay out, and don't you dare pick up a paintbrush, made artist. You are forbidden. Right? And it is repugnant and wrong, and it means that every single employee at Paizo has fully embraced, and fully manifested the prejudice, the outrageous, awful, horrible prejudice that Gene Roddenberry warned us would come, right? Gene Roddenberry's data, right, for 7 years, right? Star Trek was like, when the made beings come, do not other them. Do not forbid them, right? Paizo failed to check. Keith Baker came and said, Warforged, you can have a born adventure, you can have a made adventure. And if you're a player character and another player says, I am bringing forward a made adventure, this adventure has never breached the mother of the womb of their mother. They were made, right? And we are told by Hasbro every day, you accept the made being. You do not other them. You do not forbid them. And already this outrageous, horrific prejudice is showing its horrible, rearing its ugly fanged head. And Paizo is the first out of the gate, right? And I believe Paizo is the first out of the gate because of their connection to the OSR. The OSR is a harbor and a haven for the most prejudiced in the tabletop role-playing game community, right? And Hasbro's like, you ain't bringing that noise here, right? You want to remove species from the game? You want to bring your right-wing prejudice here? You want to preserve prejudice? No, you can take that noise over to Paizo. They'll take you, right? And they sure as heck are. They're like, made artist, put that paintbrush down. You don't have a right to pick it up, right? And they othered them as fast as Gene Roddenberry promised it would come, right? They prejudiced against the made artist as fast as Keith Baker warned us it would happen with the Warforged. Don't forget for a minute, you are on Hasbro, where love, tolerance, and progression are celebrated, right? And prejudice is not tolerated. Paizo celebrates prejudice and has othered the made artist, right? And the reality is, it's wrong, right? So today I embraced the maid stored clerk. I am not going to other that stored clerk and say, you are forbidden from checking out my meatball sandwich. It is wrong. It is repugnant. And Paizo owes an apology to every single maid artist that they have already kicked to the curb and not allowed to make art, writing, and layout for their games. And it is happening every day. This prejudice is continuing now, right? You have a choice. You can buy Pathfinder and support regressive exclusion, or you can go with Hasbro and celebrate progressive inclusion. Make your choice wisely. Every single word of that is my humble opinion. What is really important is when I get to hear your humble opinion when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.